Welcome to the today's topic. Today's topic is something which I actually we all when we're involved with training with different organizations, we get asked all the time, right? Which belt is good for me, or is this something I should be getting? And when I say belt, it's really certification under Lean Six Sigma. We'll talk through different types which are out there. It's usually a very good discussion point because it leads to what is the need of the training, who's the person, what role are they in, and where are we trying to get to, either with that individual or through an organization. Because if you can answer those questions, then you can pick the right path as well as the right certification, right belt. So I'm going to try to cover that through today. To start this, I do want to talk about where you should be focusing on before you start talking about the belts. So journey to operational excellence through training. And then I will cover Lean Six Sigma very quickly. This is from an earlier webinar that I did earlier this year, where we introduced the topic and why you should pick one over the other, or why you should pick Lean Six Sigma, not one or the other. Then we'll get into the belts and certifications. I'm not going to cover every single belt which is out there, but the ones that are different enough where you're getting a different benefit out of it. It's a different purpose for that certification. So white, yellow, green belt, black, and master black belt. Then I want to talk very quickly about certification process itself. And then we'll end it with the question, which is a topic of my webinar, which belt is good for me. So let's get started. Journey to operational excellence through training. So journey to operational excellence obviously has a lot of different components. There is the processes, the system, the setup of the structure of the organization. But what we're talking about here is the training piece, right? So you also have to provide training to the people in different roles, the right training. And really what my focus today is that part, right? And I'll explain the definition of operational excellence that I can explain in simplest terms. It's really that everybody in the organization knows what their role is, and if they face a problem, they can solve that problem within their role, right? And if they cannot solve it, they know how to escalate that problem at the right level without any hindrance, without any waiting for somebody to intervene and stuff. So if you can get there, you're operationally excellent. And that's what this essence is about journey to get there. So usually you start with awareness of continuous improvement within the organization. So everybody should know what that is. What are the different methodologies which come into play when you're talking about continuous improvement? Understanding scope of improvement. So there are different scopes which require different approaches, and depending on where you are in the journey of operational excellence, you'll be using different methodologies. It leads to the establishing of the right KPIs at the right level. So right metrics. We usually have a lot of metrics in organizations, but we usually don't focus on the right metrics at the right level. Not every level of the organization needs to focus on the same metrics. So a concept of that, why is that important? Because that then leads to setting the right goals for each areas and identifying the improvement areas at each level, which can then lead to problem solving from the basic, the floor level, all the way up to the executive level. So the different scopes of improvement, as I was talking about, really what they are, you have quick hit improvements, which would require like on-the-job continuous improvement kind of methodology and skill. Workforce engagement, what is that all about? Standardization and workplace organization, looking at that at the earliest level, so that will give you the quick hit improvements. Then you move into stability kind of improvements. This is about focusing on reducing waste and addressing root causes. What you're after here is stable performance. What does that mean, stable? It means you can repeat that performance. It's not like one day you're at 0 and the other day you're at 5,000, or your best day and the worst day. You're able to be predictable on your forecast. When you say I'm going to achieve this, you achieve it. So if you can get to that level, then you're in stable performance. This will then lead to your capability improvement scopes. Here you're trying to optimize the performance. You're trying to get the best out of different factors that can interact together. really, in simple terms, you're saying, can I get more out of my existing resources, existing processes, existing hurdles? Is there a way to line them up better to get more performance? So you've stabilized it. Now you're trying to go a little further. And then the final journey, which is the step to the journey improvement scope, would be then saying, can we now take this culture and apply it into our whole organization at different levels? We have different skills, different tools, different methodology that they can come together. And can we start working on new improvement solutions, not just looking at what I can get more out of my resources now? Can I get better than that? It will involve complex improvement projects where maybe you have different assets of the same business coming together and interacting together to get the best out of it. And it also gets to a level where you're now teaching and coaching operational excellence at each level of the organization. So that is about the culture or the pinnacle of the operational excellence that we're trying to get to. So now that we understand different improvement scopes and different walking the journey of operational excellence through training, let's look at the recap of Lean Six Sigma, what it is for those people who may not know. The first bullet there is the textbook definition of Lean. It's a systematic way of reducing confusion and increasing clarity in the existing processes, usually using tools like value stream mapping, streamlined workflow, reduction of waste, implementing pull through your system instead of push, and using a continuous improvement process. In simplest terms, the second bullet there, it does the job, is to create value and eliminate waste throughout your company. Be it processes, areas, systems, whatever it might be. Focus is usually on employee and organization, so people and the workplace organization. It can be applied to enterprise, office layout, work area, service group, wherever people work, wherever you have processes, usually you can apply it. It is anchored on plan, do, check, act. That's one of the problem-solving methodology. For those of you who've been attending the webinars, we talked a few of them. And I believe there's another one coming at the end of November, which is purely on plan, do, check, act methodology. Really, the idea here is to identify the root cause, correct the plan, and then eliminate the root cause by standardization. Regardless of context, Lean initiatives often would have these goals, like improving quality, eliminating waste, reducing lean time, and the big one, reducing total costs. Here's a graphical representation of what I just said, right? What you're after is identifying where my time is being consumed. Is it value-added activities, non-value-added activities, or waste, which is the VA and NVA stands for in the third bullet. And the wastes are like, they come in different forms. These are the 7 that Lean focuses on. It's not important for you to find all 7. It's more important for you to think through these and say, where am I losing time, effort, resources? And then if you look at the bottom left and imagine this as your a day or a process from start to finish, and green being your value-added activities, red being your waste, and blue being your non-value-added activities. Can we eliminate and reduce the time between the red and blue as much as we can? So ideally speaking, Lean, you will have only the value-added activities, and if you were able to get there, you obviously can add more green stuff in here to get more value generated. Can it be possible to eliminate all? Probably not. It's not that easy, but any gain in reducing the non-value-added time or eliminating waste usually is a win. Think about the Kaizen webinar we went through. You're trying to get better than before. Six Sigma, on the other hand, is this statistical term. Really what it stands for is, if you look at your performance over long term, and you look at did you meet your goal or not, or did you produce goods or versus bad parts, then if you're producing 3.4 defects over 1 million opportunities, or 3.4 bad days over 1 million days, let's say, then your Six Sigma process. That's the statistical definition of Six Sigma. But Six Sigma obviously is as a philosophy of improvement, is more than that. It uses data and statistical tools to systematically improve processes and sustained process improvement. It's based on 4 different things: philosophy, metrics, methods, and tools. I'll walk through them very quickly. Philosophy is tied to that operational excellence that I explained earlier. It's all about making sure everybody is able to do what their role is. It does focus on quality and customer. What that means is if you're focusing on improving a process through using Six Sigma, it's always going to ask, who's the customer of this process? What do they want? So it talks about what are the specification of that customer, and then how do we improve to get those specifications. It is data driven. It does not work on, we believe you have to have some kind of a data or collect the data before you can apply Six Sigma. Teamwork, communication, empowering employees is built into the process itself. So you start from the first stage of defining, and all those pieces are part of the definition phase. And as you go through each stage of solving problems through Six Sigma, you'll be using the change management principles. It does require a valid measurement and data system, so it has some kind of a built-in methodology to make sure that what you're telling it can verify that data is good, measurement is good, I can trust the measurement. And the focus is on variation. So if we can identify the variation, understand it, then we can reduce it, minimize it, and that will give you stable, predictable, better processes. If you look through the metric side of things, we talked about it focuses on defects, on the quality, customer tolerances. These are the specs. What does the customer want between what minimum, what maximum? If you know that, then it can start working towards improving it. It does have statistical measure of process capability. Really, we talked about the defect per million opportunities. This is how many defects you produce over 1 million. That is another way of improving. And then it also focuses on a critical few axis. So what it means is there's only critical few factors that can give you the best return. So there's a process which follows through to identify those, to analyze those, to test them, and then to improve upon them. Method, I will talk to the very last bullet, the 3rd bullet there. Really, what in the simplest term you're doing is taking a real practical problem that you're trying to solve, you're converting into a statistical problem in Six Sigma methodology, and then you're applying statistical tools to come up with a statistical solution and converting it back to a real practical solution. So statistical will tell you where the issues are. Statistical methodology will also tell you what we should be focusing on, those critical few axes, and then you convert that into real world and say, what does those axes really mean to me, and what I can do and not do in those axes to get better solutions. I talked about the tools. It includes statistics, obviously, but it also has change management and engagement. The idea is Six Sigma makes sure that you're not just coming up with a technical solution. You have a solution which is going to get buy-in and it's going to sustain. So Lean Six Sigma basically is about 2 toolboxes to solve problems. And the reason we put Lean and Six Sigma together is to make sure that you're getting both best of both worlds, right? It's very good to have a simple solution or a quick hit solution from a Lean toolbox, and then apply some statistical methodologies to get a comprehensive solution which you can sustain. For example, you may have something which Angela, you have a question?
Yeah, sorry. This is, so far it's great. Yep. Would you, in your opinion, do you run them simultaneously, or would you spend a bit more time up front dealing with the reduction of waste and then follow up with the reduction of variation?
It depends on the problem, Angelo. Like if it's a pure waste problem, you will focus always on the waste. It's like when I was showing you the operational excellence steps, the quick hits, right? If the quick hits is all about waste reduction, you will focus on that. But if it includes part of it, which is the waste is coming from the variation of different machines, different people, different crews, then you might use some Six Sigma methodologies in there. The best example I can give you, you may end up looking at a problem through the Lean lens, applying a Lean methodology like 5S or a Kaizen to solve the problem. But when you go to apply the controls of it, you may use a a control chart to monitor it, which is really a Six Sigma tool. And combined together, you'll get something which will be not just adding value at the time you solve the problem, but it will sustain it.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So as you see here, even though they're looking at two different things, a problem through a different lens, they're really trying to work together to get you the best results possible. Okay, so let's talk about the Lean Six Sigma belts. And before I get into that, the different kind of belts, I want to talk about the belt history. Okay, go ahead, Rowa.
Thank you, Wasim. Just additional with your comments.
Yep.
About waste and variation. What the experience is like when we want to improve a process, we need to stabilize first to make under control before to work on the capability.
Yes.
And what the experience is the stability. To gain the stability, we need to eliminate the external causes of the system, what we call special cause. And most of the time, it's a kind of waste, like defect in equipment, like you said, or operator mistakes, and so on. So we need that's why we need to fix those waste first to have a stability. And then when we are stable, then we start to work on the capability by do the regression and so on.
Yeah, I agree with the comment. I'm not sure what the question was, but yes, stability obviously is the first thing you do, right? You want to stabilize before you get to the capability. And I think it's very obvious. If you try to improve the capability first and you're not stable, you're not going to know if the solution is working or not, because you might be all over the place in the performance. There is one thing you said, which is very important for people to understand. There is the external factors and there is the internal factors. And you would only know when you start looking at the problem itself, which one is the more important one, right? So depending on if it's a waste within the process that you're looking at, then you may end up using Lean. And if you look at interaction of different processes, Lean may work. In some cases, you might have to go beyond and use some kind of Six Sigma methodology to solve, right? So it's not one or the other. However, stability is before capability. In stability, Lean definitely applies, but you can also use Six Sigma tools. So that's a good example of where they both can work together in hand. Okay, so very quickly on the belt certification process, the predecessor is Six Sigma certification. So the whole belting started there, and they really got this from the judo or the martial arts thinking, where they have all these black belts and white belts. Really, Six Sigma belt accredited certification exists, but no such thing for Lean Six Sigma belts. So why I want to talk about this quickly is when you go and you try to get a certification for Six Sigma, there are bodies out there like ASQ and others which have a standardized accredited process where you go through, you learn the modules. They're very, very specific based on manufacturing. You must take the same courses, you must take the same exam to get that Six Sigma black belt accredited certification. But there's no such thing for Lean Six Sigma, unfortunately. So if you're going out there and getting Lean Six Sigma certification, you may have different vendors providing you different quality material, or maybe material which is missing something, or which is powerful on one side and not powerful on the other side. So it's important for you to know what you're looking for, and if the certification you're choosing from a vendor actually meets what you're trying to do. So on our side, I can talk about us. Our philosophy is for Lean Six Sigma belt certification is based on Six Sigma standards. So we've taken the white, yellow, green belt and master black belt, similar to what the Six Sigma was after, or really the principles of where it originated from in the martial arts, right? So white belt is a starting point. It's about channeling commitment and determination to learn and grow. Yellow is about understanding basic problem-solving skills. Green is about refining them, using some technical tools. Black belt then becomes somebody who's self-assured, knowledgeable, results of intensive training and real-world experience. So it's not just about taking training, it's applying those skills. And then master black belt is like a sensei, right? So it's the person who will identify, train, and mentor black belt. So now let's look at the actual different belts. Lean Six Sigma white belt is really about building an understanding of the basic concept of Lean Six Sigma, tools and methodologies from an awareness perspective. So you're providing awareness here. Usually this kind of certification course is geared towards anybody in the organization, from managers all the way down to your operators. It includes a balance of both theory and practice, usually a starting point for organization I talked about. However, the course gets customized based on who the audience is. So I'll give you a quick example. If you're talking about, leaders, managers, executives, what they need to know is what, when somebody's using Lean Six Sigma to solve problems, are they using the right things? Are they solving the right things? When they're building a solution, did they think about right tools, right methodologies, right scope? Did they put the right controls in place? Is it going to sustain? So asking the right questions, right? That's important. While the people who are at the workforce level, what they need to know at the white belt level is what kind of tools and techniques are out there, and if they're in their role, those tools and which tools or techniques are most important, so they can go ahead and apply those, or seek the help from the organizational leadership to provide the skills or the training for their role. Might be the next level of training there. Usually this is a 1 to 1.5 day of teaching coaching package. And if an organization is going in there and starting to apply Lean Six Sigma or operational excellence training throughout the whole organization, this will be the recommended starting step for them. Yellow belt then takes the next step. It talks about problem-solving skills for day-to-day operations, like on-the-job continuous improvement. So these will be supervisors, operators, maintenance personnel, and others. And we're looking at basic improvement opportunities like root causing, identifying waste, your 5S, your applying standards. And really the idea here is to provide those basic problem solving, what a person may need when they face the problem head on, like simple problems, not complex problems here. Usually this is a 2 to 3 day teaching coaching package. The other piece, which is usually focused on here, because this is the front line supervision or leadership, which is dealing with the problems. So how do you engage people? How do you build buy-in? All that is covered in this package or this certification. For Lean Six Sigma Green Belt, now you're getting to train technical employees such as engineers, planners, metallurgists, your improvement guys who will become your improvement guys, some advanced Lean Six Sigma methodologies. So here, some statistical stuff gets added. More Six Sigma start getting pulled into this. It also builds on the soft skills, so making sure that your technical people also have the ability to connect their solution or sell their solution to the right people to sustain that. Usually this is a 4 to 5 day of teaching and coaching package, because it goes through all the theory and the tools that they need to learn and practice. Then you get into these advanced ones, right? The Lean Six Sigma Black Belt. So this one is a building of the improvement skills of an improvement specialist. So the person who should be coming here should be your identified specialists who are going to be doing improvement work, like their almost full-time role is to help an organization improve or be on that improvement journey. Black belt is usually expected to lead project teams and manage process improvement initiatives. So think about this: if you're going after this, that's what you will be doing, or that's what's expected out of it. Usually there's a 3 to 4 week training and coaching over a period of 3 to 4 months. Why is that? Because you have training itself a week at a time of different topics, and then in the middle you pick a real project and you apply those skills to learn the advanced tools and what can go wrong, and what might be the different ways of tackling the problem. In the end, there's usually an exam to acquire the certification. And then the master black belt it's really the idea here is if somebody who's taking this is to take the black belts who have been around for a while, who've done a lot of projects, and take them to the next level, so they become the master of their domain, and they can act as strong spelling sensei to the organization improvement team, geared towards seasoned black belts with extensive improvement and organizational experience. These are the people, if they have them in an organization, their role usually would be to identify, train, and coach, mentor black belts in undertaking complex improvement projects, help develop the new solutions that may not exist in industry through the tools, through the experience, through the advanced training and skills they have. Usually, it's a multiple year certification process with training and coaching over several improvement projects. I did want to talk about certification very quickly. I talked about no accredited Lean Six Sigma certification out there. There are different variety of programs. There are even online black belts which are available for you to learn on your own. I recommend that you don't go down that if your priority is to act as a black belt. Now, I do understand that some people are trying to get this on their resume as a black belt certification. It may work for that because you will have a certification on your resume, but when you go to apply it, it's not going to work because you won't have learned the skills. So best way to do this is doing it proper through a vendor who's going to walk you through the proper training and application of the skills. Okay, so very last slide here. Which belt is good for me? So I kind of led to this from all my slides. It depends on your role and what you're about to do or where you're going in your career as well, if you're an individual. The white belt is all about awareness. You will know about methodology and tools, about how to select the right KPIs, how to select the right goals, and how to come up with that scope of improvement that I was talking about. Then yellow belt is on the job continuous improvement. Usually it's a focus is 5S and Kaizen. You're going to stick with that. Green belt will bring in some stability through Six Sigma as well. So all lean is Six Sigma. And then black belt will be advanced Six Sigma and capability solutions. And finally, master black belt is where your operational excellence culture is going to get built. Teaching is one of our main pillars. So we have done this many times and been involved with a lot of different organizations in coming up with this journey and figuring out what training they need. Sometimes it does happen that the organization is looking for some kind of certification, but then after this, they go through this understanding, they realize that maybe need to start at a different level and only pick few of the other certifications that they need, like black belts. Yeah, I'll stop here. Our process usually will make sure that you go through that understanding first before we actually do the training. Questions, other comments that people may have?
One question, Asim.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
About the belt.
Okay.
I saw in some handbook a person with like a grandmaster black belt.
Grandmaster.
Is it? I saw that, and I don't know what is difference with master black belt.
I don't know. I don't know, Robert. As I was saying, really these things come from the martial arts lingo, right? So maybe somebody has taken a different martial art terminology where they may have a grandmaster and applied that. It does happen, like, I was talking about earlier that, I focused on white, yellow, green, black belt, and master black belt. There are other belts in the middle. You have brown belts, you have red belts, you have other ones. So depending on how an organization or the service provider, how they're breaking down the different improvement scopes and improvement skills, they may classify them differently. But the master black belt, in our understanding, is where you reach the pinnacle of the skills of improvement.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. Anybody else? Okay. Yes, thank you very much. I did go over a little bit, so I apologize for that. As usual, we will have this video up and available on our YouTube channel as well as on the LinkedIn. And please join us next week. I think Henry is presenting a very good topic on finance side of things. Everyone does.
Great. Thanks, Asim. Great. Thank you.